Oh, there it is. Okay. I guess I wasn't overreacting. Can you maybe watch that in like the other room? Of course not. He's practically deaf. Why do I even try? Okay. So, hopefully you can hear me over my father watching the TV. So, last week I decided to try something a little different and basically do a stream of this idea I had for a Kairi focused Kingdom Hearts game. Now, I did that because, of course, I love the Kingdom Hearts series. As I said in said stream, which should also be uploaded to YouTube by now, and hopefully getting some views. And, excuse me. Don't you ever wish that all of your bodily functions would just stop while being watched by people? Anyways, so I basically put to myself a sort of challenge-ish thing where if I basically finished that little PowerPoint I used to help keep me on track while explaining the idea before 10-ish, I would go ahead and just finish it off with one more string right here. Am I interrupting you? You can watch it someplace else, you know. Anyways, where was I? I didn't really do that because it did end up going a little bit into 10, but of course, not too much, you know. Got it before 11 at least, unlike last time. So, yeah, I'm just going to go through my little PowerPoint, which is probably a little boring visually, but I'm too cheap to do something grander. And hopefully more people enjoy me finishing up this concept, and hopefully today, I will finish it today. Should be through most of it by now. So, can't think of anything else to do except apologize for anybody who wants to see me go back to Hades 2. I'm sure I will, probably next week, but gotta finish what I started. So, there is a room right there. Goodness gracious. He might be my father, but I swear he's a child. So, anyways, let's just go ahead and get that done. Kingdom Hearts Dawn of Radiance. Okay, so probably good idea to kind of briefly overview what I was talking about last time. I swear half of it must have been just how much I loved this series and my opinions on each of the individual games. Then, of course, very brief overview. The focus of this game is, as I said, Kairi, and more specifically her going through a unique Minecraft Mastery exam, more in the vein of what Sora and Riku went through in Dream Drop Distance, where it's more like an adventure. And she's doing that by request because she feels she needs to, because basically everybody else in the series has. So her mission, to give her a goal to work towards, is to find the 3 other princesses of Heart that have not been found by the end of Kingdom Hearts 3. And that's the basic gist of the story. And we went through the first world, which a lot of detail because of course it's a Kingdom Hearts original world, Radiant Garden. It has a lot of setup, but we are heading into all the Disney worlds, and I never explained the kind of list of worlds I had in mind for this, mostly because I was flying by the seat of my pants. With this, but I finally put it down here, and as you can see, we're going from Radiant Garden to the Castle of Dreams from Cinderella, then Brave, Lands of Dundrock, Encanto, Princess and the Frog, Firefly Bayou, that's the name I came up with. I looked it up, and there are some other names like Swamp of Frogs and such. I decided to go with Firefly Bayou. Yes. Alright, yeah. And then you'll notice I struck out Matanui. Am I disturbing you? You can go someplace else. Good Lord. My father is a child. He's gonna be interrupting the whole thing, I'm sure. Anyways, we'll just get into Low-Low-Tai when we get to it. And then, of course, we started with Land of Departure, but I put Land of Departure after Low-Low-Tai for a reason. We'll get into it when we get into it. Disney World. It's the town from BBS, but we may also, as kind of just an optional thing, maybe the castle too. Like, it's just a concept, so of course this is never going to get made, but it's fun to speculate and think about these kinds of things. And for the last world, Destiny Islands, we'll get into it when we get into it. Yeah, so that's basically the world list, 9-ish worlds. I think my father's going to end up sighing all the way through this, because I'm disturbing him watching his show for the 100th time, I swear. Seriously, he just watches one particular show, and name it just in case that might cause problems, but he just watches it over and over again. Enough family drama, let's go on. Second world, Castle of Dreams. So, reason I chose Castle of Dreams is to go through the plot of the third Cinderella movie, Twist in Time. Kind of, just cause it's a very fun Disney movie. Yes, it's a sequel, and a lot of people bemoan the Disney sequels, but you know, not all of them are bad, and honestly, a lot of them are at least passable if you go into it knowing that it's not going to be as good as the original. Because, you know, the original had so much magic and passion behind it, so of course the sequels, no matter how much they try, will never be the same, but you can still enjoy them if you go into them with an open mind. Moving on. So, the interesting concept here is that we don't actually get here like before the plot, or it's, as I say in here, the kind of Kairi, Raiden, and Garuda kind of get here, and the world is kind of broken. Like, the people are frozen in place, and it's kind of creepy, and they don't know what's going on until they reach, like, Cinderella's home, the house of Lady Tremaine, and see, like, the fairy godmother turn to stone, and, like, a green storm up above, and, like, right, it's like, oh, somebody broke time. and like he makes like a door. You remember in Kingdom Hearts 2 where Merlin makes a door into the past? Radiance does that, and he kind of explains like, I'm only able to do this because time is kind of broken and weak. Normally I would not be able to do this. So they go through the door and go to the past where they see Pete is like messing up things, like summoning Heartless to stop them and trying to help Lady Tremaine for some reason or another. And like I said, we basically just go through the plot of Cinderella 3 for the most part, just with Kairi and her new friends trying to help Cinderella along the way. And so not too much with the plot in this one. Of course, like in Cinderella 3, Anastasia kind of gets like a redemption arc thing, where maybe even Kairi helps her with that a little bit. But in the end, at the very end of the story, when, excuse me, at the wedding, where Anastasia says no, while disguised as Cinderella, and Tremaine comes out, Pete turns her and Drizella into a Heartless, and that's the boss battle for the world. And we beat them, of course. Post-credit scene, Anastasia like frees the now the stone fairy godmother, and with that, it ends with maybe a little post-world cutscene of Kairi talking with the fairy godmother about working towards her dreams and such. Anyways, real post-world cutscene I've actually thought up is Pete in like this dark castle place, telling the voice from Silencio. Anyways, where was it? There's like a big shadow on the wall with the voice that helped Maleficent and Pete after after Radiant Garden. There, and Pete's like saying, "I got the symbol of despair," and like holds up, like, just Cinderella's broken slipper from the movie, where like Tremaine breaks the other slipper, which they need for like their plan. How dare he? Where was I? And he like asks, "Hey, where's Maleficent?" And the voice just responds, "She's at the castle, trying to gain control, and we're not like supposed to know what the castle is at the moment." So there's that. Onward to the third world, Lands of Dombrok, Brave World. Not everybody likes Brave, and it's by no means my favorite movie, but it's good. You know, it's alright. And I would definitely like to see a Dombrok world, Brave World, in a future Kingdom Hearts game. At least partially, because we're starting to run out of movies. Like, honestly, I'm sure they can pull from hundreds of things, but we're eventually gonna run out. Anyways, so they arrive, and it's more in the middle. Like, we don't see the scene of Merida at the archery competition or such. Instead, Merida and Eleanor are already on their way to the ancient ruins following the Will-O-Wisps. And Eleanor is of course a bear, and they become part of our party as we head there and and Kairi, when they get there, she can't imagine why somebody would want to split from their family, because yeah, I just want to imply that Kairi has like a good bond with her family in Destiny Islands, her adoptive family, because of course she didn't come from the Destiny Islands, so of course she was adopted by somebody. I think it's implied to be like the mayor of Destiny Islands, the like little town there. Anyways. And Merida gets the idea, oh, I have to fix the tapestry, and Kairi's like, is that really enough? Like, is that really all? You know? I remember once in a video, like answering questions about Brave, like somebody mentioned, oh, how did Merida break the curse? And they were like, oh, by fixing the tapestry. And like, no, I'm pretty sure that was kind of like a red herring. I'm pretty sure the idea was that she had to fix her relationship with her mother, and she just mistook the tapestry because it was a bit more solid than a relationship. I think that was the idea, but who knows? Maybe it was the tapestry. Anyways, fighting a bunch of Heartless on the way back to the Castle Dombrock. And Pete shows up, tries to turn Merida into a Heartless, but Merida is a princess of heart, the first one on Kairi's adventure. And so, of course, she can't be turned into a Heartless, but then Mordu shows up and, like, consolation prize, Pete turns him into a Heartless. And they fight him off while, like, while Merida's fixing the tapestry. And then they win, and Kairi starts to reflect about her bonds with both her family and friends before leaving. Post-world scene shows Pete struggling with the broken stone, and it's a symbol of selfishness. The idea is he's collecting like symbols of various negative aspects of human emotion and people, which you'll see the reason later. Encanto. This one is actually mostly original because it takes place after the film rather than during or before or anything like that. So they first arrive in like the little Encanto, the little town before the casita, and the people there are kind of nervous because the Madrigal's family have been just gone for a little bit, like probably not days, but definitely hours. And it's like they're usually down here by now, helping out every now and again, even after the whole thing from the actual movie. So the group goes up to Casita and sees that it's like distorted. It's like silent, which is in a way that even a non-living house should be, and they go inside and see that like all the rooms of each of the family members have been like altered and made super dangerous. Like they end up first in like a massive jungle that's supposed to be Antonio's room, but also has a bunch of like deadly flowers that somehow got in there when it somehow got mixed with Isabella's. And they meet like one by one. They meet the members of the family, starting with like Antonio and Isabella. Sorry. And they like find the doors to each of the rooms of the family members. Like go into Luis's room and we finally see what's in there. Of course, it's also not the whole truth, since of course, like I said, it's been distorted. So it's like this, like rocky mountain with like volcano inside to represent her pressure still being there even after the movie, but certainly lessened. And they fight their way through all the rooms. Again, very dangerous. And try to figure out what's going on with the casita. And eventually, continued, we start to learn a little bit about Kairi's family because, of course, Encanto is about family. So, a very good way to get a sense of, like, Kairi's adopted family and maybe even a bit about Riku and Sora's family. Since this is only a sort of idea thing and not like me pitching, it's me pitching an idea for a game, but at the same time, it's also basically fan fiction. So I'm going to tell you my very strange idea for Kairi's family, which is kind of like almost mobsters. It's like her father has this like mobster energy, but like he's not a bad person. He just feels like he's a mobster even though he really isn't. I just find the idea that somebody as kind and reserved as Kairi would have basically a mob family. That would just be so funny to me. But of course, just an idea that I really hope Nomura decides to go with, even though he's not going to see this. He's not going to read my mind and decide, oh, it would be funny if she had a mob family. But anyway, oh dear. Nothing to see here. Just ignore that. Anyways. Eventually, we find this pitch black door, no family member on it. Enter and find like the center, the casita, where it's like just this dark room of shadows, where we see the shadow that helped, Maleficent and Pete has like captured Mirabelle and is trying to like extract the power of the miracle from her to give to Maleficent to kind of boost her power. And she like summons Heartless to battle them and like interferes with the fight, but you don't actually fight the shadow itself. She just kind of helps the Heartless in the fight. And we beat her. And Casita goes back to normal. All the rooms get back in place, and Mirabelle like wakes up and is like, "What happened?" And then we see like a bunch of lights going to like this blank door, only for it to show one of those family mural things of each of the members getting a power. And it's like Kairi on there, and you never learn what her power is, but it's kind of like a signal of, yeah, family isn't always blood bonds, which would be a very interesting idea. Because, as I said, Kairi would have been adopted when she came to the Destiny Islands, and so her family for most of her life would have been people she has no blood ties to, whereas the Madrigals all have blood ties to, and that would be a very interesting idea to explore, I think. That's one of the reasons why I really liked the idea of Kairi going through Encanto. Anyways, post-work scene shows the like Pete and the Shadow in this room, and Maleficent comes up and presents them with a new ally unknown from his friends. Hint, hint. And on to the next world, Firefly Bayou, Princess and the Frog. So, also taking place after the movie, Maleficent has brought back Dr. Facilier, who turns Tiana and Naveen into frogs again. Kairi kind of tries to interrupt, only to end up also turning into frogs as they're caught up in the spell. And the first half of the adventure is them going through the bayou to find Mama Odie and see if she can break the spell. And of course, she reveals that Facilier was returned to life and had his powers enhanced by Maleficent. And in the actual Princess and the Frog movie, it was explained that Facilier can't use his powers for himself, but because Maleficent is providing him with like extra power, he can. And the only way to break the curse is to destroy the voodoo charm, which is, like in the first movie, kind of his link to remain in the world of the living, essentially. So they do that. They go all the way back to New Orleans, find his shop, and like break the charm. Not a boss fight yet. Maybe a minigame. That could be interesting. And then while he's in his shop, break the charm, and his friends come up again, of course, like last time, and drag him with them. But this time he's like, I'm not going alone! And like grabs Kairi and drags her in with him, with Raiden and Garuda following. And they end up in like the boss arena where the voodoo masks are trying to like consume their souls, with Facilier turned into a heartless boss battle. And at the end, it's Mama Odie who reveals to Kairi that Tiana is a princess of heart. And apparently she's also friends with Yin Sid. Like Odie is Mama Odie's old friend of Yin Sid. Maybe even taught him some stuff. So, that's the idea for Firefly Bayou. Next world, Motunui, or really Lolotai. You know those animations that play when you first enter a world that displays the name of the world? My idea for that is that like the animation tries to spell out Motunui, but then like a monster swallows it all, and it turns into Lalotai, the like realm of monsters from that movie that we really didn't have a lot of interaction with beyond Tamatoa. So that goes on, and like we first arrived there on top of that massive mountain with like the gateway to Lalotai, and like Kairi and Gain are like, what are we supposed to do here? I mean, there's like a ship right over there, a boat. But we can't take that. That has to be somebody else's. We should find them first. Where could they be? Earthquake! And they accidentally fall in, and the gate like closes. They fall down to where Maui and Moana are like fighting some Heartless or such. And after they help them with that, like Maui and Moana explain that like a horned witch suddenly showed up out of nowhere and used her magic to block all the exits, all the easy exits out of Lalotai, and they're kind of stuck there. But Maui reveals, well, I know the secret exit. I just never use it because it's very hard to get to, because you have to go through like half of Lalotai to get to it. And it's just easier to try and ride one of the geysers, but you've got no choice. So they do that. They make their way to the exit Maui mentioned, and only to find Maleficent there, blocking the way, and Moana would be like, no one would find it, huh? And Maleficent reveals she turned Tamatoa into a Heartless to act as the boss battle for this world. And Kairi, of course, like asks, why are you here? And she's like, oh, just having a bit of fun this time around. Yeah. And, like, fight the Heartless Tamatoa. And then, once that's done, cutscene of it trying to attack Moana, only for it to backfire and basically just disintegrate the Heartless, revealing that Moana is the last of the 3 unknown princesses of Heart. And this, like, blast of light also destroys the barrier blocking the exit, allowing all of them to leave. And Moana and Maui just like say goodbye as they ride off on the boat to basically continue the rest of the movie. And going back really much, a lot of people have been wanting like Moana as a world in Kingdom Hearts 4. I very specifically don't want a Moana in Kingdom Hearts 4, not because I don't want it, obviously I do. It's just that one of the very important premises of Kingdom Hearts 4 is that it's going to be taking place in quote-unquote fictional worlds, which are essentially worlds that just don't fit into the normal Kingdom Hearts universe. And there is always a possibility that Nomura could like write in an easy way for them to go back and forth between the two. But the way it feels like to me is that any world that shows up in Kingdom Hearts 4, we are not going to be able to visit in future Kingdom Hearts games because it's going to be part of like a literal alternate universe, a literally different universe from Kingdom Hearts, which is very difficult to get to and very difficult to get out of. So it just feels to me at least that whatever appears in Kingdom Hearts 4 is very likely to never appear again in the series, which means if we had a Moana world in Kingdom Hearts 4, well, first of all, regardless of whether or not we have a Moana world in Kingdom Hearts, whether or not we can revisit worlds in Kingdom Hearts that show up in Kingdom Hearts 4 future Kingdom Hearts games, if we have a Moana world in 4, is she's not going to be revealed to be a Princess of Heart, and she is a perfect candidate for that title. And it just seems like a shame not to give her that title, really. So that's one of the reasons why I decided I wanted like a Moana world in a Kairi focused game. Of course, partially because, like I said, the plot is Kairi trying to find all of the princesses of Heart, but also because of all of what I just explained earlier. So there's that. World 7, kinda sorta. Like I said, we basically begun there and we're returning there to the land of departure to tell Aqua, hey, Kairi found all of the princesses of Heart, so she's passed her mark of mastery exam, right? And Aqua is mostly satisfied. She sees Kairi has really progressed, that she's really grown stronger, and found powerful allies, in Raiden and Garuda. But she decides she wants to test Kairi personally to make sure she's ready. So we get like a boss battle with Aqua, and it's a one-on-one. Like Kairi go right and Garuda and be like, "Hey, you need to," and they just interrupt her and like, "Yeah, we know, you need to do this on your own. Go get her." And so boss battle with Aqua between her and Kairi. And we win the battle, but it's one of those wins that's not fully. It's not like Aqua just beats her. It's like we win, and Aqua's like, okay, I'm satisfied. I officially declare Kairi as a Keyblade Master. hooray! And like everybody congratulates her, and like Ventus specifically runs up to her and like, hey, I got these tickets from Scrooge again, Scrooge McDuck, for the Thousand Dreams Festival, which is like it's like a recurring yearly thing, and we can go there to celebrate. Unfortunately, like Ventus, Kairi, Raiden, and Garuda are the only ones able to go, and maybe the Cherokee. I completely forgot about that, but they will probably end up going too because anyways, like everybody else has other things to do. Like Aqua needs to like talk with Yinsid. Terra decides he wants to train. Roxas is training with him. Shion isn't even there because she apparently had something. Like, and in the end, Vince is just like, oh well, guess more ice cream for the rest of us. World 8, Disney Town. It's basically the same as in BBS, where it's mostly a mini-game world. There were just mini games and a couple of connecting areas where you can fight enemies, but you can fight enemies in the beginning of the game actually. More on that later. And once you complete one mini game, you only have to do one. You can do more if you like. You can go back to Minnie Mouse, Queen Minnie, and she will actually let you vote between a list of potential people to like win the trophy from like the first game, the Thousand Dreams trophy. And the way I imagine it, I'll get into it later actually, but because when you vote, you actually get a scene of Winnie about to announce the winner, but then Pete and Magica Dispel, the person who's been helping Maleficent, show up with Unversed. I chose to make Magica Dispel the voice that was helping Maleficent, partially because just why not? Why not have another famous Disney villain from not like one of the individual movies, but sort of like the general universe of like Mickey, Donald, and all of their friends. It's like Fantastic Four, Sensational Six changes between whether or not you count Minnie, Daisy, and Pluto, I think. Anyways, so it's like a timed battle where just infinite waves of Unverse come in, and Ventus is like very confused because it shouldn't be possible for Unverse to even exist without Vanitas, and he is definitely dead. It will be reiterated more than once that like Vanitas is actually just gone. He's not like revived or something by Maleficent, he's just gone. And somehow they've been able to summon Unversed despite that. And one of the ideas I had, actually, that it will be explained at some point, maybe this game, maybe a different game, that the darkness has the ability to manifest in a variety of forms. Like, Dream Drop Distance actually kind of already introduced this idea because it was mentioned that Heartless can't get into the dreaming worlds, and yet Darkness is still able to find a way in there to become the Nightmare Dream Eaters. So that really introduces the idea that the Darkness can take on multiple forms. So my idea is like, it was also revealed in like the mobile game that Vanitas wasn't just the darkness in Ventus's heart, it was actually like this dark being, like the one of the 13 kind of wheels, kind of minds, for lack of a better term, that kind of drive the darkness's actions. That's what Vanitas actually is. And the fact that the Unversed come from him really does support this idea that the darkness can take on like a myriad of different forms. So like the Heartless are just pure darkness. The Emblem Heartless are like an artificial creation that's still technically pure darkness, just with a heart inside of it. And then like the Dream Eaters are like a mutated form of darkness that had to take that form to enter the dreaming worlds. And then like the Unversed is like the idea of darkness from our negative emotions. Like Heartless are drawn to negative emotions, but they don't like how do I put it? They're like the pure darkness, undiluted by anything. That's what Heartless are, and then Unversed are like the darkness from our negative emotions. And that's like why he was collecting a symbol of despair and a symbol of selfishness, part of Magica Dispel's plan to like increase Maleficent's forces by adding the Unversed back into the equation by essentially creating a sort of being to like create them. Maybe she could have even found like the secret boss battle from BBS was like a fragment of Phineas that survived, and maybe she like found like Magica found that to act as like the core to her Unversed creation process. It's just which does bring up the idea that maybe Phineas could come back, but you know, I wouldn't be opposed to it, honestly. Like, just keep bringing Vanitas back. Not even the other true... Well, actually, we would definitely end up seeing more, seeing of her real names. Like, don't bring back Ansem, Xemnas, or Young Xehanort, just bring back Vanitas, and it's like, I will never die! That would be entertaining. To me, at least. I don't know about y'all. Anyways, so the Castle of Illusions. Those of you who don't know, Castle of Illusions is a pretty famous and well-known Mickey Mouse game, but where he faces off against a witch named Miserabelle that like kidnapped Minnie for some reason. I've never played it myself, I just know of it. And like, as it says in this previous slide, the Universe kind of just suddenly start disappearing, like they've been defeated without anybody hitting them, and that's because Magica Dispel hasn't really perfected her little spell to create them yet. So she and Pete retreat through a corridor of darkness back to the castle, and of course, Minnie explains, Magica must be talking about the Castle of Illusions that Miserabelle once used. Like, maybe explains her story as she was like an evil witch that tried to take over the Disney world, the Disney castle and town, but Mickey stopped her before she could, which could even make for an interesting game, interesting world in the future. But anyway, it's like it's a part of the Disney castle and town world, but also considered like a separate thing. Like in those little world view things, it's supposed to be like a representation of them. It'll be like the Disney castle on top and like the Castle of Illusions on the bottom. Kind of similar to like Moon Town from 2. At least that's the idea, I think. Anyways, she like explains Miserabelle's stories and shows Kairi, Garuda, Raiden, and Ventus the way to the castle, and even Minnie becomes like a party member for that world. Because why not? And it is the Castle of Illusion, so of course it has the ability to create illusions, and it's fully under Maleficent's control by this point. And so she like creates illusions to kind of torment the party, like separates them and puts them in scenarios that will cause them to feel fear, sorrow, anger. Excuse me. All the while they're fighting unversed as they make their way to Maleficent. At the center of the castle, where they see Magica finishing up her magic spell, and they have a boss fight with her. And even though they beat her, they don't really beat her because the spell is finished and Maleficent has total control of the Castle of Illusions and the ability to create unversed, not from any negative emotions. In fact, the reason why they were being tormented by the illusions of the castle was specifically so they could get the last few drops of anger, sorrow, fear, etc. that they needed to really complete the spell. So inadvertently, as we were trying to stop them, we were helping them. And with her complete control of the castle, Maleficent forces them out massive force of wind or something, just throws them out of the castle as it lifts into the air. Lifts into the air, and she just decides just to be evil. She's the mistress of evil. So of course she's going to do stuff just to torment Kairi and her group. She decides, I'm going to your tiny little island to destroy it for no other reason than because I can. And then go to my true goal. Because she's the mistress of evil. She's just not happy if she's not tormenting somebody. So, World 9, Final World, Destiny Islands. We head there, of course, to stop Maleficent because we know she's headed there. And getting something. Nope. And it's actually calm because we actually beat her there. So we actually get some time to kind of meet Kairi, Riku, and Sora's families and talk with their friends from the actual town. And I would have Destiny Islands just be, in all of the previous games, it was just either you visit there for a cutscene, or you're there for just the one little world, the one little island where the kids played as they were growing up. And in this game, I would have Destiny Islands actually a lot more explorable. I would actually have it have the town where it happens. I would have the island off to the side. I would have even some tropical forests just past the town. It would be a real world to explore, even though Castle of Illusions shows up pretty quick and sends out a horde of Heartless and Unversed, which we have to fight against, going from the jungles to the other beach on the other side where the castle is, and then probably form a path to the castle across the ocean to get to it and face Maleficent as the final boss of this game. And of course we win, because of course we do, we're good guys. Yeah! And Maleficent is no, I am not going to take this, just forces her out, and is you've won this day, but I warn you, the ancient masters have returned, and you will never defeat them. As she runs away with the castle, just going up into the sky and disappearing into the largest corridor of darkness, and Kairi's just left there going, "H Masters, what is she talking about? What's about to come out?" And then, of course, credits. With that little ominous warning, we are left with the credits for the game, and then that's basically the end of my slides to keep me on track. So yeah, that's my idea for a Kairi focused, not even an hour. Oh, it's me. Okay, so I guess some final things before I some final things with this game idea I have before I sign off. Yeah. Oh goodness. Only an hour long. In this, with most of the other Kingdom Hearts games, once you've beaten it and then save your game, it doesn't really have a post game. It has you going back to the point before you finished it, and then lets you do all the other stuff. With this one, I very specifically would have a post game of some sort. Like, you don't reset to the point before Kairi won against Maleficent. Like, it has not a lot, but some things going on afterwards, and it's like you get to visit all the worlds, and there's like new stuff, like some side quests and stuff. And going back to like Disney Town, the voting thing, if you decide to do all of like the mini games and side quests in that world, then you get an additional cutscene where it's revealed that Kairi wins, but if you decide not to, then whoever you voted for wins. That's an interesting idea. And of course, like I said, a bunch of side quests where you can like do something for Cinderella to like fix her glass slippers or get her new ones because for like sentimental reasons.
Huh? Rest of it's yours. Okay.
And like the Encanto world where you get to like buy and sell a bunch of stuff, and where you get a bunch of side quests from the people and such. Yeah. I genuinely can't think of much else to say. And I feel a little bad that this is only going to be an hour. And part of me wants to also, like, get my Hades 2 on, so to speak. But another part of me is like, nobody news is going to be coming in, and that would also be slightly like false advertising at this point about. So going to be ending it really early this time. Trying to see if there's anything else I need to mention. Nope, can't think of anything. I think anybody who came to watch this at the present moment, and anybody who comes later to see it, hours, days, weeks later, if all has gone well, then the first one, which was about 2 hours, will be uploaded to YouTube on channel RyuYosei. Same as my Twitch, basically. And you can like watch that, and after I'm done with this, I'll upload this as well. Schedule it to go up like an hour after the upload. I think next week I'm going back to Hades 2 for the playthroughs and such, but I also hope to do more streams and more videos similar to this, where I talk about my ideas for like a Sly Cooper 5, or like a Spiral 4, or a Crash Bandicoot 5, and things of that nature, these sort of fan fiction-y things that I enjoy, and just as a sort of I'm just gonna say it, some of the ideas I have are like for like a sort of remaster of various. There's been a lot of remasters. Good lord, when will my body quit? Again, it's probably a bad idea for the body to quit. There's always been those remasters like Epic Mickey, Rust is going to be coming out soon, and I think one day I want to do like my ideas for like the worlds of Kingdom Hearts 4, and I bring that up in conjunction with Mickey Brush, because with Kingdom Hearts 4 going for the idea of fictional worlds, it's a prime opportunity to go really crazy and do like an Epic Mickey Wasteland world, or like Star Wars and Marvel have been suggestions that a lot of people have been going with. And no promises, but I do hope to one day do like a video about
Dan Wall's been here.
about my ideas for Kingdom Hearts 4 worlds, and my ideas for like remasters of some of my favorite games growing up, like Jimmy Neutron and the Attack of Twonkies, and the like Nickelodeon's Unite games, and then new games for franchises I love, like I already said it, it's like Cooper, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, any others I can think of. No, I think that's it. So I wasted enough time at the end of this video, so I'm just going to say I hope anybody and everybody who sees this enjoys it, and that all of you remember to think for yourselves and do accept influence, but don't let people control you. So, all that done, have a nice day, end of stream.